Hey everyone, Dan here. We are well after market close on Friday, July 9th. Today we're going to take our daily look at SoFi. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also, linked in the description below is a playlist that I've put together with all of my daily SoFi videos. Some of those talk about things well above and beyond just the daily price action of the day. So if you want to scope those out for additional info on like fails to deliver, short interest, earnings plays, things like that, feel free to poke around there. Also, if you enjoyed the SoFi videos and you'd like to share them, that would go a long way. I would really appreciate it. Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you talk or consume or share stock info, that would be cool. And lastly, if you would like to receive a once or twice per week email newsletter from me starting in August, put your email in the Google form, which is linked below in the description, and I'll send you a note before I share the first newsletter and just sort of like tell you more about it, tell you what you can expect, and if you're no longer interested, I'll give you an opportunity to opt out, of course. But it's a place where I can put additional trade ideas, setups, interesting info that I find that I just don't have time to make videos for. Okay, so SoFi had a bit of a rocky day today. It was down about 1%. Is that right? About 1%? Yeah, just over 1%. Before we zoom out in this sort of a view, let's zoom in and sort of like deconstruct the day a bit. So we did see a little bit of what I was talking about since last Friday, which is, if we would like to recap, the fails to deliver that came to pass just today that were 30 days aged, or sorry, not today. Next Wednesday, they're going to become aged fails from 614, because that will be 714. Just a little over 1.1 million. So not a huge quantity, but I thought it did potentially have the capability of moving the price action a bit into the green, and interestingly enough, we do see, as the pre-market opened here around 4 a.m., we do see this really quick run up from, what was it here, 1648 all the way to 1734. So that's a pretty big percentage increase just within the hours. This was by 4:50 a.m. And then we saw the price coming down quite a bit. And sorry, I'm just checking the volume here as well. Yeah, I mean, there's like peak volume here, 2,200 and then 4,200. So some folks accumulating shares, but then we also had this big run up in like the midday, which, kind of odd. Also, this was when there was the most volume of the day, except for, the first half hour or so, and then the last, not even the first half hour, just like a period of time right after open, the first 5 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes of the day. There was more volume than here, but for whatever reason, this peaked up with a bunch of buy volume just before lunchtime. So, I'm kind of wondering if, to the extent to which those fails to deliver did come through in creating some buying pressure, the degree to which it was some consumed here and then a bunch consumed here, when you would have seen an additional, what is this? This is nearly, this is well over 1 million. Yeah, you have about 2 million, 1.6, 1.7 million volume there. So if you throw this into it, you're about 1.7, 1.8 million volume total. So it would have obviously been much more than would have been needed to cover those deliveries that are expected next Wednesday. So again, like big speculation on that front. Of course, it's pretty opaque, kind of stringing together disparate pieces of info to try to figure out what's going on. But could have seen a little bit of something there, but it was looking like it was a good move up. And then obviously, selling off for the rest of the day after that big pump up. But this is what I was talking about last night was, look for time periods where it just sort of like jumps and pumps for no apparent reason. That could be some of the activity of these fails to deliver getting purchased up so that they can settle on Monday and Tuesday and then deliver them next Wednesday. So I will leave that for the time being. And what I wanted to do today was kind of zoom out with the year-to-date chart, which is the daily, and basically get rid of everything that we have here. And there were a couple of things that I wanted to scope out with you charting wise, and then we'll look at the indicators, then we'll pop over and look at some of the data. There's some new stuff to look at, so I thought we would go over that before calling it a week. But I wanted to scope this run here from like 1189. Let me get 1189. I wanted to see what the retracement levels looked like up to that 2826. And just see if there's anything there that might sort of like shed some light. Let me turn these yellow so we can see them nicely. So, obviously we had the big run up here, and then on the retracement side, there was a bit of a stutter step here around the 38.2 level, and then popped down, accumulated somewhere on the 50, stretched down to the 78.6, but then got a nice bump up to the 61.8, and then batted itself around there several times. On this impulsive move up, this is when it was trying to regain toward 25 for a couple of days there. That would have been right just shy of the 23.6 level, and then has since gotten pushed back down again. So the question is, what's the support like at this 78.6 or between the 78.6 and the 61.8, where, since this, big move up here, it's spent probably most of its, I didn't count the days, but probably as much time there as anywhere else. In terms of like being between a couple of different price zones, that would have been the bulk of it, it seems, if we look at from like the 50 down to the 78.6 levels. So, I'm keeping an eye on here for additional support zones for it to catch in order to try to get some bouncing back up. There are, of course, in any of these waves, there are smaller waves within larger waves and larger waves outside of the smaller waves. If we look here, it's sort of what this run up leaves us with. We go from here to about here, and we can leave. Oop, I had the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Go from here up to about here, sort of see what levels we have on this shorter time frame. Yeah, so on this smaller move, but more recent move, we're seeing it dip all the way back down to the 786, which is what we saw on the longer time span as well. And then we saw it run back up to about the 23.6 retracement level. So if it can repeat that, that would be actually, I think a lot of folks would feel very good about that. That would put us back pushing about 22.36, that blue area right there, as a potential impulsive move up. Now, that said, even if the move up was lesser than, in the sense of like it's in an overall downtrend here, it could push up toward that 38.2 retracement level. That would still breach the $20 mark, which again, I think a lot of folks would feel really good about. Of course, at the moment, it's appearing as though it's continuing to come down in, threatening at least a full retracement, which would put it back to about $14. But, just always keep that in the back of your mind as much as we try to look for signs and signals of, if there's floor being established or recovery potential happening. There's as equally as many potential scenarios in which it continues to push down further, as we've seen, right? We're trying to be very bullish in the low to mid 20s here, and then it's been quite a ride downward, as you know. Let's do a quick update on the indicators, see where we are in this like daily year-to-date type of time frame. The RSI, incredibly low, nothing shocking there. So, it hasn't spent really any time in oversold territory. So it's 31.94, 33. So right now sitting at 33.86 is, nearly as low as it's been this entire chart. So historically speaking, we've at least seen it come and push up toward the mid-range on the RSI as it's reached nearly oversold territory. So historical pattern holding, if that's the case, that would give us at least some potential relief to the upside, maybe in the coming days or weeks ahead. Obviously, big areas of bearish momentum building here on the MACD. Still a bunch of real estate in between the MACD and the signal line here, and not really showing any movement toward closing the position in order to have a bullish crossover. So, that's going to have to flatten out, and that may take a few days to kind of sort through. Even if we do get some green days, it's going to take a bit of an effort. It's going to take a few green days in a row to kill off this bearish momentum and actually flip it to bullish. So that's what I see on the charting side of things. Let's flip over to the data. And I wanted to start here. There's this story that popped up on Ortex, option type sweep puts 1750, sentiment bullish. So this is basically saying, if the price is under 1750, that's folks can put those contracts or the shares that are tied to those contracts onto someone who would pay them $17.50. And so this is for next week. So this is an expiration date of next Friday. So, we'll see what happens here. The volume was pretty high on this one. There's open interest of 28K plus, but this was 4,500 plus in just this one sweep. So could be interesting to see. But on the short volume ratio side of things, still maintaining in the 20s. So we did peel off a little bit from what we saw with this creeping up from 17 to 23 to 28. Earlier in the week, we did see that peel off. So again, potentially another sort of indication that there was some buying up of shares that need to be delivered by mid next week, as we see that the shorts kind of come out. Now, question that I'll have after we get the short volume ratio from today, when that comes in later tonight, will be, did they essentially, another sort of indication of that would be that they bought up shares, drove the price up, sort of unexpectedly, and then just turned around and borrowed a bunch of shares to short and helped push it back down here. So that would be the other indication that potentially that was driven by that kind of buying activity that we were discussing, but we'll know more when the short volume ratio comes in. Now, unfortunately, I have a question on the iBorrow desk end of things, and I don't know that we'll have an answer. But, this is supposed to be a feed from Interactive Brokers, but, this is the entire day today. And yeah, we do see some slight changes in the fee that was being charged, but we don't see any change in the available shares. And if we scroll back, we don't see any change since 7/6 close of day to 7/7 start of day. So that was Wednesday start of day. Uh-oh, my computer's going to die. Hold on a sec. I got a plug. There we go. Save the day. I don't have to remake the video. But, I'm kind of wondering if this feed, we have seen it go down before, but previously when we've seen it go down, it literally just, you're not getting any updated info. So it is a little weird that it is still updating, but there's just nothing changing for 3 full days now in terms of the availability. Again, obviously the fee is changing, so that in that sense, it is seemingly working. But, I'm going to keep sort of checking on Ortex and on the daily short volume ratio just to sort of gut check, is it correct that there's just really no short activity happening right now, or there's, equal amounts being returned and borrowed? Just seems a little odd to me, but we'll see what happens next week with this feed at iBorrow Desk. Lastly, on swaggy stocks, SoFi is still holding strong here in the 3rd place position on the highest comment volume on Wall Street Bets. So to the extent to which retail is able to come in and try to provide some bullish support, some bullish buying power in SoFi, that seems to be maintaining relatively strongly with 97 positive sentiment comments and 20 negative sentiment comments. So pretty solid percentage there, nearly 80% of the comments being bullish or positive. All right, well, that will do it for this one. I hope you had a good trading week, and I hope that we have trading weeks ahead that don't look so much like this. But we'll see, and there'll still be the daily videos coming out to try to at least decipher what's going on, share some ideas, try to sort through, where SoFi is going and what can be done about it. All right, well, thanks a bunch for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.